Oh, good idea. Thanks,
Of
John.
course we are.
So good. Okay, well, well, welcome everyone. I'm so excited tonight. We're going to try to get through a bunch of material in a good amount of time. First of all, I want to say that our topic tonight is, want to let everyone know there are still some openings. There's a lot of pending activity. There's a lot of screenings that have, or a number that have been approved. There still are some openings as far as we understand. So number one I'm going to cover is how to host a screening. If you want to host a screening, here's what you need to do. It is a process of contacting your upline leader who will go over those details with you. If you don't know who your upline leader is, you can call me or John or Sue Gromberg, or call corporate, and you'll get assigned to someone. Will help you with that process. So that's number one. Number two is, let's just jump into putting on a Generation Zapped screening. Now, John, do you think we need to go over sort of what it is, a little bit of information on the film,
Sure.
or does everyone kind of know
That would
about
be
it?
good. I mean, there might be some people on that don't have a feel for what it's about. We can talk
Okay.
about that.
So let me just back up just a little bit. Gia Wellness, our corporate leaders, Alfred and Linda Hanser, have partnered with the producers of a documentary that is due out sometime in April to be released to the public. It's called Generation Zapped. What they have done is basically purchased 15 individual screenings that they can that based on our certain qualifications are then approved to put on a sanctioned event. And so there are 15 of those. The Generation Zapped film is really a documentary about the entire sort of history of the creation of the wireless world as we know it now. It'll be, some of the legal issues that were missed, the safety issues that were missed, some of why and how and what and when and who, and will include does include interviews from really the top people in scientific fields, in the political arenas, top folks, top public health doctors around the world who have been following this issue for even, as many as 30 plus years. So those are going to be the folks who are featured on the film. One of the beautiful things about it, it is not a sensationalist documentary. It is full of information. It really addresses quite a few of the biological effects, a lot of conversation about children and the effects of, on the next generation. And also it does follow an electro-hypersensitive individual and his family. So am I too loud, John?
Not at all. Sue, Ming, I just wanted to make sure that if you haven't seen the trailer, you can go to Generation Zapped and go to YouTube and you'll be able to see the trailer. There's also a Facebook page, Generation Zapped, has a lot of great information on there. And it's also there. And one thing, Ming, I want to make clear that right now we have 15 showings that are available between now and the end of February, roughly. And I know that there's 30 plus people on our Zoom tonight. And we want to make sure that we're talking to the people who are going to have host a Zap showing, but we're also talking to those of you who will be inviting people to be a part of it. So I just wanted to make that clear, right? Right, Ming?
Thank you, John. And I think that's really an important thing about this call tonight. Exactly that is whether you are hosting a screening or whether as part of the GIA team, you're going to be collaborating or coordinating or working as part of a local team, say the Portland team or, the Jackson, the Wyoming team, whoever putting on the event. You may be inviting your people from New Jersey to the event we're having in New York in February as well. So there's a lot of reasons to be on the call tonight. Thank you, John, for bringing that up.
Well, let's go on to the next part of it, and
yep.
That's about getting really into the nuts and bolts.
Yep. So this is, and also Sue has been, she's a master eventress and putting on events. So Sue and John, if you want to speak up, absolutely do. So number two, putting on your Generation Zapped screening. This is once you've been approved, you've got the date, the time, the location, the approximate, idea in your mind of the attendees. You've been approved by your upline and corporate. Here's the number one thing to do. You're going to assemble your team, okay? And that is you're going to decide how this event is going to go. Really put that, I mean, you're going to, what the vision is. So you'll be doing that. Who's going to be introducing, at the registration table, welcoming people? Who's going to be manning the technology booth, or not the technology booth. Who's going to be manning the technology, having done the dry run to make sure the sound system is working, the visuals are in place, everything. Who's going to be setting up the product display, if you have a display of GIA product, which we hope you do. Who's going to be doing food or refreshments, if you've got that planned. Who's doing the music, the chairs, obviously we mentioned the sound system. And after the film, before, who's going to stand up? Well, first of all, who'll stand up and going to introduce? Who's going to connect the dots after the film? Who are going to be doing and when? You're going to be doing demos if you're going to be doing those, and all of those kinds of things. I'll stop here. John or Sue, did you want to share anything?
Let's see if Sue does. So what I was going to say, Sue, if you're going to come on, is it's important to pull the team together. And I know you've already done that where you live. You have 2 or 3 people along with you who have already gotten together to plan this out. And pretty much everybody will know what they're supposed to do. And it's pretty smooth when you do it that way, isn't it?
It is. And already we've had, I think, 2 meetings, 2 physical meetings, and 1 sort of phone check-in with a core group of us. And now we're starting our bigger outreach to reach out to all of the other GIA consultants in our area, and just giving people heads up on save the date, things like that. So couple things I do want to say, and we, some of us who have been approved for screenings, just received an email shortly before this Zoom call tonight from Yvonne at corporate with the Generation Zapped packet. It is chock full of information. So I want to tell you, you're not going to be left to your own devices. There's a screening guide. There are discussion points. There are instructions on how some of the media can be used. There are ideas for promoting, for facilitating the meeting. There's a whole host of images. There's even a welcome sign-in sheet that they have specifically designated for this. So I want to let you know that that packet will come to you once you have been approved. Okay? Did anyone, I'm going to say my point number 2 is going to be butts in seats. So that's the next topic. So before we do that, talk about butts in seats, what I want to talk about is, I want to find out if there's any comments or questions about assembling a team and deciding actually what the event is going to look like that evening or that day.
Just unmute if anybody has a question.
I do.
Karen?
Karen. Thank you for doing this call. Mine is scheduled for the 26th and 27th of February. So that means I've got like 2 weeks to pull this all together. And so I'm wondering, is it possible? I've got the location reserved and paid for, but would it be wise to change the dates, bump it out to February? Can I do that so that I've got more time? Because if I'm going to put that much work and effort and labor into it, I want butts in seats. And so is that something that I can do? Is it permissible?
I'm pretty sure you can. I'm going to tell you, one of the things we did locally here was we made we've got the fire at our butts right now, because we've got an event on January 25th. We also have an event on February 2nd, and I see Nova Lee is just on. So we have an event on February 2nd and an event March 8th. So I don't know if that's a possibility, or if you want to, if you want to spread your events out, that might be good. One of the key points there is for the multiple, the advantage of multiple or even 2 events is that it's actually a way to gain momentum. Okay.
Okay, so maybe spreading it out would be a good idea.
That's a possibility rather than tandem 2 nights.
Okay.
Okay. So
Let's see if there's any other questions. Kedzie?
I just wanted to mention what Marge and I are doing up north. We're having 2 different dates in February, and we're having 2 screenings each day to catch people that are early birds and catch people in the afternoon and do presentations in between. Just an idea to share that we're doing.
Great idea. Great idea. I think that's fabulous, Kedzie. And with all of that, just to share with you, we just have to make sure that all of that is in writing, whatever our plans are. And I know when Sue Gromberg and I are doing a presentation in New York, in Midtown Manhattan, on Sunday, February 25th, we're going to be doing something like that. I think we are showing the film, and then we're doing the GIA presentation after. So,
Sue, I noticed you're unmuted. Did you have something?
No, actually, it got covered by someone else. I just forgot to unmute. But no, I think assembling the team, I think, is number one, getting a commitment to having people in your team aware of everything that's going on and being a part of designing how it looks and how it gets executed.
Great.
And we are going to talk about that. So the second point we're going to talk about here is butts and seats. Then we're going to talk about the anatomy of a presentation, or the anatomy of the evening, and drill down a little bit more on that so that each of us can, each of you can sort of flesh out what your event's going to look like. So should I move on to butts and seats?
Sure.
Okay. So basically, how do we make this happen? So, one is you are going to be receiving, once you've been approved, this Generation Zapped press kit with collateral materials with all kinds of ideas in it, the ability to create a poster, an Eventbrite, Facebook posts. But really, what we want to do is start reach out to, of course, all of your team members. Start having, notifying everybody to save the date. Also, maybe find out from GIA Corporate if they could do some kind of, or if there can be some kind of an e-blast in your specific area to kind of wake up, GIA consultants who maybe, maybe we don't even know about. But one is we've got fabulous Facebook and social media. So we can create a Facebook post. In the absence of the media kit that was just came out today, I had some material, and we did produce something. It's on my personal Facebook page. It's a save the date, and it's a social media post. I just posted it not long before this, before the Zoom call tonight, so you can see what something like that might look like. It can also be done in Eventbrite, and a lot of these details and some of the languaging, all of this stuff is going to be in your press kit, so don't worry one bit. The other is sending emails out to, for people to save the date, letting them know what's going on, whatever that is. Certainly personal emails, catching up, phone invitations. I've started calling people. I'm texting people, and sometimes it takes a few pings. I talked to one group, one consultant in our group, and he said, Ming, you're going to need to remind me. I always do. And he always shows up with guests as well. Posters, that's a possibility too. Posters around town. The poster is a specific poster. You can't mess with it too much, other than we can add date, time, location, things like that. Getting this event in local media calendar. Also getting a press release out to, sometimes I will say our local newspapers if I send a poster, of an event plus a press release, and they've got actually already pre-written press releases for Generation Zapped, and I send it out and follow up with my gal at the local newspaper, I've had them sometimes actually publish the picture of it in, the community section, while they also put us on the calendar. So with that, that's probably, I don't know if there are any questions on that before we move on to the next section.
Well, let me just make a comment, is that if Ming was telling me this and I didn't know what's in front of me, right, I've got the kit in front of me, and there's examples of what to use on social media. There's email examples that you can just copy and send out. So they've done a really good job of putting things together that you don't really have to think too much about. It's really just figuring a way to get it out there. And I always believe in keeping things as simple as possible without overcomplicating it, and just just want you know that the kit is really extensive and will help a lot. Kezzy?
Yep, I just wanted to mention that Marge has a TV spot for our upcoming event.
She got that going, huh? That's pretty good.
Mhm.
Pretty good.
Hey, John, I've got a question for Ming.
Okay, Dave?
Ming, I just looked at your Facebook page, and how do we go about, does corporate change the poster type
That
thing?
one, yeah, I'm going to say actually that one, the woman who designed it is a client of Dr. Dudley's. She will change it for your event for $25. That's just what she's told us she'll do, because I at least thought that people might want to know. So that's just an idea. Otherwise, I think we have to create our own. She does that in Adobe Illustrator. She wasn't able to give me something that people could interact with. I did ask that. And you know, I didn't get anything from Yvonne that we could interact with. I don't know if Gia Corporate is intending to create that for us, but we do have this.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys can see this very well, but this is a flyer that can be worked with. Has the Zapped on it, the Zapped picture, and then you can fill in the blanks and use this as a flyer. But I don't know about using that on social media.
Ooh, that's cool.
So that's in the kit.
That's in the kit.
It's in the kit.
So, any other questions?
One more thing before we go on. There's going to be a lot of people, I know that all of you in your areas, probably a lot of GEA folks who aren't tuned in, and that don't know what's going on. And so part of the outreach, I believe, should be trying to get back to those people who are on the team but may not be tuning in right now, because they're going to get excited about this and they're going to be able to help you go out and find other people who will come to the event. So don't leave them out of the team approach. So I think Ming is saying, get your core team together, like she's done 3 or 4 people, and then the outreach goes to other GEA consultants, bring them in, and then all of you together go out and invite people to come in all the ways that we've talked about tonight. And you all know how to do that. Same way. All right, Ming?
Absolutely. So let's get into the next, the anatomy of your Generation Zapped event. One of the things we know, the film is an hour and 15 minutes long. If you're framing it with an event, whether you're having a reception, we're doing a pre-release party with some food and fun demos at our first event, and then of course we want to frame it to be able to do demonstrations and a talk and things like that. Realize that it can be a long night, so that's something you want to be attentive to, and preparing people's expectations. One of the ideas that that John was talking about was, if you really want to make sure people are going to stay through the end of the evening, you might want to do some fun door prizes. Some door prizes or something that would be available to people at the end. Only, or gifts or things like that, something under the seat, some sort of fun things, and tee that up and let people know. So actually on the anatomy of your Generation and Zapped event, I want to do what Linda Cormier always tells us to do, and that's start with your desired outcome in mind. I want you to be very, very clear of your vision. What is it? What is your desired outcome? So our desired outcome, mine, is obviously to have as many families and individuals thriving in this wireless age, not only aware of this information, but actually using and employing solutions in their everyday lives at home and at work, in their kids, on their kids, when their kids are at school, when they're playing their sports, when they're skiing, when they're doing whatever they do. So I absolutely have a very clear goal of wanting to sponsor people into GEA, of wanting to gain customers and preferred customers, really whatever those folks are comfortable with. So what I completely plan on doing is having materials, and of course having my team there with their materials, their brochures, their price sheets, sign-up sheets, things that night, in order to follow up with those people who are really the most interested. And there will be people depending on what stage they are in your sort of information process, there should be people that evening who are going to want to pull the trigger on something. You want to be prepared. And just a little note I want to say is you're going to have a sense during the evening. So I want your antennae to be up for where the pockets of interest are. Who's kind of looking around and who's most interested with questions, and that's the person you want to gravitate to. And I mean real questions around, how do I get this stuff? How do I get my family protected? Not necessarily all the skeptical questions, because what's going to happen after the event, and I just want to tee this up for you, is if we can identify those people in the audience and we can go to them and sit with them and help them get their questions answered, likely they will be purchasing products, coming on board, getting very excited that evening. And what that's going to do is actually create a magnet for other people who are going to look over and see so-and-so is getting themselves and their family protected. So I just want to say that. Okay?
I think that's a really good point, and I'm just kind of smiling because I've done a lot of presentations. And sometimes we tend to focus on the people who are least interested, trying to get them to be interested. I don't know if you guys ever had that happen. And it's really important to focus on those people. And you can tell by what they're saying and how they look. There's a vibration about them, and that's where you want to focus, because it's likely you're going to have more than 1 or 2 or 3 people to deal with when the movie is over.
That's true. And so what you do want to do is have your army, basically you want your team to be well oiled, and we want to be alert and alert to help. I want to be alert to help, anybody who's interested in information. And I really encourage people, even cross-line, because we want to be alert to wherever those pockets are. Because, for example, I'm just saying Terry might go and be talking to one of Novalee's people. Novalee will see that, go over and relieve Terry. Terry can go speak with someone else, or I can do that. So we really want to be working that way as a team. It really speaks volumes for our teamwork as well. Anybody want to comment on that, Sue?
Questions, anybody?
About that?
I'll just mention that.
Kedzie?
I'll just mention that packets, pre-prepared packets or folders with everything in it, and just, making sure we've got a stack of those ready, because if people aren't clear of the kind of paperwork we're using, it's going to be, too crazy with everything else going on. So that is, I think, really important to have that solidified, and everybody, the team, knowing what's in the packet. What do you work with? What's the most important part? Just knowing it like the back of their hand.
Good, great point. So a couple things I want to back up a little bit to kind of pre-event. One is creating the right expectation. We're not able to talk to everybody who's going to show up, who just sees it on the Facebook or on a poster somewhere. But for those people that we invite personally, we just want to create the proper expectation. So that's one. The other is pre-event. You want to make sure we know who on the team is going to be setting up the product display and the demos. We want to have meetings as, what demos are we going to be doing that night? Are we during the reception? So we are actually having a half-hour reception so people can get to our events after work before we do our intro and welcome everyone and watch the film and then do our kind of wrap up. So who is going to be doing those things? Very, very important. You've got to have a registration table at point of entry where people come in and they write their name, their email, their phone number. It is very, very important to be able to follow up with people, and all of the effort and the expense you're putting in on this, you really need to know, who's there. If you set up a table, maybe a nice little table with some flowers or whatever in your registration sheets, and you set it up so that they actually need to kind of go through you before they get in, they will do that. So occasionally they will, maybe not put their email or a phone number. So whoever's there, have them welcome, be, very welcoming, whoever that person is, and, having them sign in for the registration. Okay.
And there's a registration form that comes in the kit.
Yep, and that is actually this guy, like right here, and it's very official looking. It's very, very nice.
Hey,
So,
Ming.
yeah. Hey, Zoo.
Hi. Hey, I think this is one of the, I think a critical part of the presentation or the meeting is this pre-period of time. Not only are we registering people, everybody who's on the team is, you know, very alert and walking around and actually being sort of information seekers and welcoming people, but also asking questions as to why they came and really sort of teeing them up, getting them ready to actually hear more of the story and making them feel welcome. I think it's a really critical part of the presentation, and that we as teammates are not standing around talking to each other, we're talking to the guests.
You know what, Sue? I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And for those of us who were around with the one of the previous vice presidents of GIA, Eric Alexander, we were taught that we actually, and we're really on stage. And we really need to be aware of what's going on around us and realize that this time, the pre-meeting time, is an incredible time to make connection, to build relationship. You want to ask questions, why are you, what caught your attention to be here, or who invited you, or what was it about the poster, what was it that brought you here? You want to learn about the people in the audience, about who is there, but you want to be able to connect with them, even if you're connecting with someone else's person, with an opportunity to give a testimonial for a GIA product, or show the cell guard on your phone and talk about it. But if we don't have those conversations with people and find out why they're there, what they're curious about, what they know, what they don't know, what problems they're trying to solve, all of those things, then we really can't add value. And our whole point is to add, is to really add value for people, to educate, to inform, to help people solve problems. So thank you. Please remember that we are part of a team. We are literally all kind of on stage together, and the impression, we're giving an impression, those of us who are putting on the event. So thank you so much, Sue. That's super important. Anybody else want to comment on that?
I have a question for you, Ming.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
Hi. When you have an invitation, or you're telling someone your event is going to start at 7 p.m., are you letting them know that 6:30 to 7 is pre-registration? How do we define that time so people don't come with an expectation of, okay, I'm going to get there at 7 and this event is starting at 7, so that we do have that half an hour or whatever time is allocated for the pre-meeting?
Well, on my poster, on our first poster, we have 6:30 reception or party or something like that, or reception, and then 7 to 9 film and presentation. So, and when I talk to people, I want to let them know, come early. We're actually going to have food. Terry's made enough chili for making enough, and she's frozen a vegetarian gluten-free chili for 50 people. So I'm letting them know to come, because that's an incredibly valuable time. So and people are going to be coming from work. If they don't know that there's some food there or something that's going to tide them over with their appetite, they won't come, and that's such a valuable time. So that's one of the reasons why we're all doing food. And you want to coordinate who is doing the food, who's bringing what, who's bringing the veggie tray, who's making the chili, who's bringing the cups, who's making the I Thrive, drinks and whatever. Okay.
And I'll just say, the food doesn't have to be a dinner. It could just be snacks, it doesn't have to be extravagant.
And I will just say, this one we're doing because Dr. Tim Dudley is known for his extravaganzas. What we'll say is anything that's hearty enough to just get people through, like a bowl of nuts, some hummus and crackers or something like that, or cheese or something is absolutely sufficient. Thank you.
Hey, Ming, I've got a comment about getting people there and getting them to sign up the registration.
Great.
You can, as they're or as a free thing, you can say you're doing a giveaway. I'm going to do a cell guard giveaway. So as they register, I'll be giving them a little one of those little tickets that they can put into a jar, and we'll pull it out afterwards. So it gives them a little incentive to sign your registration. Plus, on the information that you send out ahead of time. You say, you know, you're going to have food, drinks, whatever, and a giveaway. It just helps.
That is a great idea to do it at the registration table. Absolutely. Thank you. So Novalee and Terry are taking notes. They're my henchwomen here.
One quick other
Yeah.
thing, in addition to that, we always make name tags for people. That's right at the registration. So we don't have to wonder what people's names are. They don't have to wonder what our names are. So that's always an additional thing. We have a big bowl to put all the names for the drawing, and we used to always in the presentations include a spray bottle or a couple of spray bottles, which are inexpensive too, and they're fun for the extra giveaways, so not just one person is getting something.
Great ideas. And you know, one of the things we've done is color-coded name tags. So blue for guests and red for GIA consultants. That's really helpful because sometimes, like even in our area, there's some GIA consultants, not all the GIA consultants know one another, and some have maybe been, you know, kind of quiet for a while or whatever. So it's really, really nice. And that way GIA consultants can identify who's a consultant and who's a guest. So thank you. Those are great ideas.
Ming, quick question.
Yeah.
We were actually talking before this call within our team. If we want to create T-shirts for our events, what do GIA normally uses, red or blue?
Red, bright red, and you should, maybe Karen Grant can show you some of the stuff she's done. She's done beautiful ones. But GIA does have some, GIA has some red T-shirts too. So
I'll go get my shirt. I'll bring
Oh, good. Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
Great. Yep, there are. Karen, they have the GIA Joy team.
Yes, Carol Gutierrez went through a woman named Jennifer Messenger in Arizona, and she's got all of the backgrounds, all of so many beautiful things. I think I ordered 4, and so we could go through her, and so that would be a great idea. I could get her to post some.
Who was that?
Do you want to put that on the GIA Wellness Lifestyle page, Karen?
Yes, I will. We'll take some pictures and we'll post it, and I'll get in touch with her.
Can everybody see the back of this shirt?
Oh, Kedzie, so nice.
Yeah, and this one, people say it looks like Coca-Cola, but I don't mind. I like the front.
So. Oh, so pretty. So that's glittery. Okay, beautiful.
Yeah,
awesome, thank you. So yes, definitely, if you could post those pictures, we will try to be ready for San Antonio and then for our screenings.
Great. So I wanted to move on quickly because I know we're already a little over time. Let's just talk about when it's time for the event. You want to start gathering the energy, obviously have people, you know, in their seats. You want to start on time, like if your event's going to start at 7, start it at 7. With you know, moving people to there. And then, of course, you've decided who's doing the strong, clear welcome, how that is. You want a strong, clear welcome where you tell your story and the GIA story, not in 15 minutes, but in 4 minutes. So, excuse me, that's really, you know, that is very, very important. You want to let them know that obviously you're excited, you know, that they're here tonight, that obviously that they've taken time out of their busy schedules, that they clearly think something's important enough that they've heard, or somebody shared with them, or somebody who they love shared something with them and why they're there, and that we completely intend to deliver. And I know that I always say we've never disappointed. So we promise that you're going to learn a lot tonight, and that not only are you going to have, you know, the opportunity to learn a lot from this documentary, but you're going to learn about a comprehensive solution to really the largest environmental stressor on the planet at this time, or, you know, during our time. And we're going to have fun tonight while doing it. You're going to watch some fun demonstrations. We're going to do some, you know, some things like that. So you really want to let people know it'll be fun. And that. So a strong, clear welcome. You want to be really clear about, you know, obviously the film. I don't know, you know, for those, you know, people who are hosting, definitely do a dry run and watch it. I think there's been some discussion on stopping the film at a certain point. where it can get a little long, and maybe doing some of the demos, doing some of the intros. I don't know. I haven't experimented with that yet. My DVD is in the mail, so I'm going to experiment with that. We'll have more information as we go along, but that is a possibility as well, to either break it up or to, you know, create the expectation, and the door prize is so big that people, there's no way they're going to leave. Okay. Post event, you want so anyway, that's it. That strong sort of finish, call to action, whether it's demos, testimonials from the audience, those are really, really good. If somebody can stand and deliver a powerful testimonial about the cell guard, how it made their headache go away, or how they've been safeguarding their children's cell phones for the last 5 years with Gia Wellness products, whatever those things are, or that they've been drinking the water and, you know, hypersensitivity is better, or using Gia products, whatever those things are. Some of those testimonials, really good to have those pre-prepared so they don't go on for a 5-minute testimonial. It should be a 1-minute testimonial, really, you know, heartfelt, but just not, you know, super long. Should I share? Anybody want to? I'll stop right there.
I was just going to say, Ming, also in your kit, it has some ideas for discussion tips when the movie is over, some ideas on how to go about doing that. And then, of course, we'll be incorporating the Gia solutions in there. But there's a lot of information that's going to help with that.
Thank you, John. And that is, I did kind of a quick overview of some of this press kit. It is comprehensive. There are so many discussion points. And so I think it's really good. Get your approval, get your kit, study it. Maybe we can have some more Zooms like this where we talk about what things that are working, things we want to tweak. And that's sort of my hope for tonight. And with that, that's probably, I don't know, John, or Sue.
Well, I think one thing we wanted to just make sure that when the meeting is over, that you get together with the person that's come and work together as teams to help them get their questions answered, and do everything you can. And I think Ming's really right about setting the expectation of what you want to accomplish. And really what I believe is all the things that Ming said, but I also see this as a real team builder for your area. I mean, this really could draw in some really excited people that'll help your area grow. So that would be in my mind also, and a little bit of the vision about what that could bring to the area. And I just think have fun, really have fun with this. It's not as hard as it looks. It's going to be really simple. I think the movie is incredible. If you haven't seen it yet, they do a great job of talking about how this impacts families, and I think that people are going to be drawn in on that. And then I think what we'll do, I think Sue Gromberg, do you have one of the first ones coming up?
I do. I have one coming up actually on the 18th. Okay. Next Thursday. Next Thursday,
okay. So what we'll do after Sue has her event, we can all get back together, and maybe Sue, you can share some of the things that went well, that maybe you would change, so that will really help other people with their events. You open to doing that?
I am, and I just want to say that this particular event is sort of like an anomaly. It's not really, one like that we've been talking here. We're going to have team members hopefully being there, but because it's in conjunction with Deborah Davis and at a as a nonprofit at a library, we're not sanctioned to do everything as we're talking about right now, but we can do some of it. So I'd be happy to share what happens with that.
Great. Then we'll have more information about how the movie's accepted in its length, and some of the things you might have done after and before. And and Deborah Davis is going to be there with you?
Yes.
Can you tell everybody who Deborah Davis is?
Deborah Davis is actually one of the featured speakers in this film. Deborah Davis has been on top of this EMF issue for probably 25 years. She's been a researcher who has been very instrumental in bringing this issue to the forefront of our researchers and scientists, but also to our government. And she has really put herself on the line to make people aware of this issue, and has really been instrumental in helping us move what we do forward. So she's one of the people in the film, and I think you'll see her towards the end, and her main issue is really about children and what this EMF issue is doing to our current generations of children, but the entire future of the planet.
And I really think that the movie has a lot to do with our children. And if you go to the Facebook page for Generation Zapped, you're going to see a lot of articles on there about how it's affecting kids. And they're gathering information from everywhere. So it's a good resource for those of you who are really getting into this. Ming.
John, yeah, a couple more things. One is absolutely, in order to meet that, our goal, you want to tee it up even at the beginning in your welcome and let people know you want to stay around after, because the connection time, getting questions answered after this event is actually going to be some of the most valuable time for you. So you want to let them know when you're inviting them to, get a babysitter for the whole evening and plan to be there, because this is a life-changing, potentially transformational event. And so, do themselves the courtesy of not having to run or rush home to do that, and tee it up at the event with the welcome, where you're going to let them know that after the event is very important. And just a couple things, and I want to make sure some people do know this, but really, really this conversation around the children, a few things that are happening. Of course, our own national toxicology program, overseen by National Institutes of Health, is already telling us that cell phones cause brain cancer and other cancers, and warning us. California, in the last several weeks, passed a law. I mean, the law is that you're not supposed to put your phone on your body. So I don't know how that's going to happen. So number 3, and this happened just over the weekend. I think it broke on Monday that some of the top Apple investors are now looking at Apple needing to be a socially responsible company. And in order to do that, they must look at what they're actually using, the same languaging that's used in this film. And with those of us who are concerned about EMF, that we need to protect the health of the next generation, and we need to be concerned for the health and safety of children. Granted, they're talking about addiction, they're talking about social, problems, anxiety, depression, all kinds of things, but they're using literally the same language that we are. So it's a very easy connect the dot to be talking about the EMF when we can connect all these dots. So there is no better time. There is no more, these dots all connecting in the world right now is just creating an incredible opportunity for us to share information with people that everybody needs to know, and most of all, the solutions that they can have so they can thrive in it. Thanks.
Let's see if there's any other questions. Karen.
Okay, so does the DVD come to us in the mail? Are we supposed to return it after we use it? How do we work with that?
There are specific instructions, and you should get those too. When you get the film, I think it's within 24 hours or a certain period after, you need to email Gia with number of attendees, basically a synopsis of, of it. And then there's a certain amount of time that you need. It's like, I don't know, right away you need to return the DVD. So that's it. Another thing very important, no Zoom presentations and no recording. Copyright we would be in major. So absolutely important that those things aren't done. We can't, we can't do those because of the hazard of we could breach, some of the legal obligations we have with them.
Especially now before the movie actually comes out. We're really lucky to be able to do this. And if we got into a little bit of trouble, they might take that away. But just the good news is that I think after it comes out, there will be DVDs available. We'll be able to get this online in certain ways that we'll be able to use this for probably years to come, really.
It's true.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have
Hey,
a
it's
question.
Alana.
Terry? Start.
Okay, I just want to, is there a place where at this point where the different cities are, where there's going to be a screenings?
Great question. I was talking to John about that. I was like, John, we got to get a whole map of the cities and everything. Right now we don't have it. It needs to happen. I don't know that I don't know that we can put that onus on, or that responsibility on corporate right now, because they're just swamped with the rollout of some big things that are going to happen at the San Antonio event and all kinds of stuff. So, John, what do you suggest? We start getting that on the Gia Wellness Lifestyle page, and then, we can maybe have a list and we add to it. What do you think, John?
let me think about it. The easiest way to do that, it's likely that we could post, every time we get an update, we can post it in the file section.
In the what? Oh, in the file section?
File section of the team page, of the lifestyle page. We'll figure it out. We'll talk to the company. I mean, it would be great if they would just, they have them all, you know, all the listing of it. So we might be able to get them to do that.
That would be not, you know, it'd be great if once we get some of these, they did a broadcast, even, you know, like a whole GEO-wide broadcast upcoming, and then they update it. That would be definitely cause for GEO broadcast, that's for sure.
All right, anybody else before we go? I think I heard Alana.
Alana, yeah, I want to acknowledge Sue Gromberg for coming together with Deborah Davis, who's so cutting edge ever since her book Disconnect came out, and the libraries have shared it with families, and so it really is powerful that Sue kept the door open on that. So thank you, Sue.
You're welcome, Ilana. Hey,
Dawn?
Don was just texting me from the airport saying that we can post these events in the back office.
Okay. We'll figure that out then.
Information.
Wait, we can post these events in the back office? What do you mean?
That was Don's text to me, and he's Mr. Back Office, so he must have an idea of how to do
yeah, in the event. That's right. In the back office, you can post an event you're having. Oh my God. Thank you, Dawn, Mr. Back Office.
There you go.
Woohoo. Okay.
All right. All right, we're going to be closing it out. Well, let me just say, I appreciate all you guys joining us tonight. Hopefully this was helpful. Recorded it. I'll have it for posting by tomorrow morning, and you can take a look at it again and share it with your teams that you're pulling together. Thanks, guys. Have a
Thank you so much for doing this.
And we'll come back together once we've got one or two of these already done so that we can really get some great information on how to move forward.
And in the meantime,
And we really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ming.
love you guys. Mwah.
Thanks, Ming.
Thank you.
Bye.